Hi, welcome back to Event Ready Podcast, where we talk about our roller coaster ride of being a live event artist.
If you're a painter, calligrapher, or illustrator, this podcast is for you because we're about to uncover the secrets, the stories, and the struggles of our industry.
And we're your hosts. I'm Talisa.
And I'm Isabel.
All right, welcome back. We had a bit of a break because we have been very busy. But since the holiday season is coming up and everyone's starting to get really busy, we want to finally have an episode, a topic that we had been actually wanting to talk about since like 2 seasons ago.
The Google Doc is probably one of the oldest ones.
Yeah, it's
and we just kept building on it and then adding to it. And we're like, should we do this then? Should we do that? No, it's too big of a topic. And we just kept dragging it on. But Talisa steered us back on track and said, that's it. This holiday season, we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. And you're like, what the heck? What are you talking about? So we're going to talk about agency.
Agency. It's the big bad A word.
Yeah. So earlier this season, was it this season or last season? I couldn't remember. We talk about subcontracting with Aaron.
Oh, right? Yeah, this season. Yep.
So this is kind of relevant to this. Because we didn't talk about subcontracting as like it was like all like it was a good discussion that we talk about, but the thing is that after we published that episode, we were getting a ton of tea in our DM, so we're like, I think we need to have a really deep talk about this, specifically about the clauses that we've seen, the weird behaviors that we've seen, red flags. So we're talking about it.
Issues. Mm-hmm. And like in the sort of bigger picture, subcontracting is really just sort of one specific agency situation, right? Mm-hmm. So we are in the episode that we're about to get into, we are going to be focusing on the topic of like talent agencies.
Yes, talent agency.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between like what's a talent agency versus what's like a PR agency. Like what's the difference? What do they do? How do we tell?
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, because like there's the agency word, but they're two different things. So let's just clear it up. Like what so there's two type of agency, right? This PR marketing agency, where their capacity in the live event industry is they're usually the agents that are producing the event for the brand. So they would be working very closely with the brand or corporate to kind of shape the public perception of the brand. So they could be doing that through like a pop-up, run a campaign, and they would invite people in the media, including journalists, influencers, content creators. When they produce an event, that's when we get hired.
Mm-hmm.
We love working with them.
Yeah, I really like how you phrase that, because it's exactly what you said. Their job is quite like all encompassing, and they're kind of like the first person for the client or the brand that they talk to about this event, and then they are like spearheading everything about this event, for this campaign, for this launch, for this product. Mm-hmm. And then they take care of everything. And you're right, like it's so fun to work with PRs and marketing agencies because they're like our people.
Yeah.
They speak the same event language as we do. And they've worked with 1,000 vendors before, and they know what the contracts look like. They know how to deal with things. They know how to talk about rates and hours and overtime and all these things, like they're experienced with it, so it's very
Yeah.
easy to talk to them. Whereas sometimes when we're working directly with clients, we have to kind of act as educators a little bit to, iron out those details. But with PRs,
They have a vision already.
they have a vision.
Yeah. And then I think because they have a very, very clear vision, they want to make sure that all their vendors are people that they trust. So they pay a rate usually, right? Whatever rate that you do, like, okay, like I think that they always say like, okay, what is your rate? And then they go back to the client. Okay, we're gonna talk to the client and then see if like if it works out or whatnot, if there's an alignment. So I really like that they actually basically like they value your work, and then they present your work, they pitch your work, and then
yeah, you're right. Like we are on their presentation.
They're on that. Yeah, we're on the deck.
We're on the deck for them to say like, this is what I want to do for this event. This is the decor I want. This is the food vendor I want. This is the artist I want. Da, 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 da. And I think these will create this amazing event for you. And then the client kind of just like looks it over and decides like, this looks good. Da, 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 da. And that's their conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes even I've seen marketing agencies have quite a bit of autonomy as far as like budgeting goes. So let's say like the client gives them, X dollars to be like, this is what we want and this is how much money you're going to have to do it. And then they decide how they divvy that up. So like the example you gave, taking your rate as the artist and then presenting it back to the client, or it could just be like, okay, well that rate works with us, like us and our budget, so we're gonna sign off on your contract today. And I've seen that a lot too, right? Like that they kind of just they have the call.
And I think that's where their value added is. So it's very aligned to what we do as an artist, as a live artist, because
they are artists themselves.
Yeah. So I think those are actually not what we're going to be talking about, but we just want to
differentiate that, like not because they are a type of agency that we work with. That is not the topic of discussion. So we just want to get it out of the way.
You just want to get that out of the way so that we don't get confused because of the word agent. What we are talking about is the talent agency, where they're usually the one who book artists, handle the contracts, and basically like the middleman between the brand and you.
And they present themselves to clients as like, we represent these artists that do this kind of thing, and this kind of thing. And so when the client comes and they're like, well, we need an illustrator or we need a painter for something, and then they come to an agency to say like, hey, can you find me an artist that does this? And they're the one that like sources the artist and then does the back and forth with the admin and the client to iron out those details. So they're not doing anything aside from finding a vendor.
So that it really does save a lot of time, especially when a brand wants to do like a nationwide, or like North America, the whole continent, a nationwide event. So it is, and then especially I noticed that usually a brand use talent agent when there's not a lot of time. Say they only have 2 weeks or like a month, and they want this every like different countries or different cities doing the exact same thing around the same week. And it's really hard for a brand to do that, so they would use a talent agent.
For sure. Exactly like you said, I echo everything. If they're arranging a whole bunch of contracts across the country or the continent sometimes, and for an event that's going to go down on the same weekend across like 30 different locations, like it's very hard for a brand to do that because they have probably like 2 events people and some HQ who are like, one is 2 months old at the job, and Yeah, it's just like it's not up to us how they decide on their marketing budget and events
Yeah.
budget. Maybe they're just like, you know what, we don't do a lot of events, so we're just gonna get an agency to find the artists and book them, and then we just do this once or twice a year. So we don't want to have a full-time employee that does all that. So
Yeah.
it does happen, and there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a value in that. I think that's good because I think I can imagine how hard it is if I was a brand. And then, oh my God, we are like now in November and we need artists in December. Like, who are we gonna call? Right? That's like almost impossible. So
Mhm.
it's probably easier to go through agency because they have the assumption that agents would have a lot of network and roster in their
Mhm.
roster. So yeah.
And can book them quicker, and like they're already qualified or whatever.
Yeah.
Assumed that it's like, okay, if we go to an agency, they'll find us somebody who's ready to do it today, who's
Yeah.
ready to book today.
Now, what we do want to talk about is some of the things that we makes us raise our eyebrows. Whether this is based on our observation or our own experience, having been working with a talent agency. Not saying every agency does this, but we've definitely seen these
Yeah,
questionable.
not necessarily every agency
Yeah.
does these things, and it's not as if like an agency is doing all these things, or maybe they are. But it's just a list that we've compiled of, you know, potential issues that may come up, and that's come up multiple times in our discussions with each other, with other artists in the industry, who are really close to us, and we talk to a lot, and we just get too much tea.
Yeah.
From all corners of the world.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So the first one is some agencies offer pretty low compensation so they can maximize their own profits. So what it would mean is they would basically charge the client, for example, this is just an example, like say $300 an hour for for an event, but then they're paying an artist that they hire for $100 an hour. So they're pocketing like 75, like what's that, 73%? Yeah, a lot of money. Like a third of yeah, 2/3 of that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how I picture it. I definitely picture in my mind that like there is there's no specific standard rate for what we do, but there is kind of like a band that's acceptable, right? And when an agency offers a really, really, really low rate compared to that band, you have to know, and we are safe to assume that they are definitely getting what's in the acceptable band from the client. And so that everything above that is for them. And while we don't know that secret number, it's like, then what am I doing getting a third of the pay? You know, what am I doing getting so little compared to what I can get from a client directly?
Exactly. So yeah, so that's one. And this is also related to the low pay, is also they could be hiring inexperienced artists to reduce that cost to justify that low pay.
True. Yeah, because I mean we've seen it, and we've been there too. You know, we were obviously beginners once, and we were like, you know, for our first jobs, we weren't even charging 3 digits. We were like, oh my God, I can do this for $90 an hour. Like, we're so lucky. And because that hourly rate, we compare it to like an hourly rate of a regular desk job. And we're like, wow, this is so much more money. Right. But it's not, right? As we all know. So then if you're not experienced in the industry, that number actually looks really good. And I think that that does get taken advantage of, where they're like, oh, we're offering $100 an hour. Like, this is an amazing deal to work with this brand. And then if you aren't getting many leads on your own, that starts to feel very attractive.
And we understand that. I think, I mean, I've been there too, because especially when we didn't know what this is like, before we talk about what should we charge, right? Before we do all the math. I had no idea. So I was really happy with like a $75 per hour for like 4 hours. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
But and I also don't want to be insensitive to the fact that, like, if you aren't able to get leads, or enough leads to sustain a business, and all you are working with is leads from an agency, at like a less desirable rate, it's not, I don't want to be insensitive to the fact that people do take those, even though it's not like their preference. There's no shame on you taking a job for a rate that you're fine with, even though it's lower than what you would want. We all want to get paid more, obviously. But if you take that job and you earn what could be considered like lower than a standard rate, like, there's no shame in that. It's you who's making that decision, and I am never gonna like stand on the side like against artists who do that, because everybody's circumstances is different. When we're talking about this, I'm really looking at the agencies with side eye. We're not looking at the artists with side eye.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel for that situation, because I've been there, and I've definitely taken a job with an agency where I'm like, oh, that's less than desirable, but what else am I gonna do, kind of thing. So
and then if if they were, the agency were ethical, they would definitely value the work better, and then like would actually pay higher. But unfortunately, a lot of them are like that. So we are side-eyeing the agents.
We are side-eyeing those.
Not the artists.
Never the artists, because we like, you're one of us. And we have seen, like, it's not that it doesn't exist. We have seen agencies that offer proper paying rates. It can happen. It's just very, very rare.
Unfortunately, they're like, there's less of them than they're the majority. They're the minority, the ones that are ethical.
Okay, next issue.
Using the artist's portfolio for their promo, whether it is on their Instagram account or their website, but not necessarily hiring them.
Yeah, I don't like that. See, I'm like pulling up my sleeves. I'm like, let's go. Yeah, no, I hate this, because I have kind of sort of experienced this firsthand.
Oh God.
Where images of mine were used by an agency, and then I'm trying to remember the exact scenario, and then somebody else, an artist being hired in some random other city in the United States, is like, oh, hey, like, is this thing yours? Because I was sent like this and this and this was sent to me by this agency to do this work for this brand. And like, that's the like style or whatever that they told the client that I can do, kind of thing. And I was like, huh? What? Who are you? And who's this agency? And what? So I didn't appreciate that. But yeah, this is one of the issues that could come up, where like, certain portfolio images are being used to market their service, and then they are sort of like forcing the hired artist to be like, hey, do this because this is what I already sold to the client. I don't like that.
I don't like that because like what if there is a gap of skill?
Or
Like
or a gap of anything. It's just not theirs.
yeah.
It's just
You know,
like scummy behavior.
I know. You know the funny thing is though, I think I've actually worked maybe one time with a talent agency. The example that they show was actually like wasn't properly done. Like it was like, yeah, we want something like this. I'm like, dude, why are you
Yeah.
using micron pen for calligraphy?
Oh yeah, I see
So
what you're saying.
like I'm not like this is not what this is not what I'll be doing for sure. And then they also like this is the script that we want that was approved by the client, and they're all like computer font script. I'm like, I'm not doing that, second of all. So but I just like kind of like brush it off. I just like, okay, but like doing what I think is correct. Because like what are they gonna do? They have nothing, they have no idea what calligraphy is because they're like a drawing agent. So they have no clue about, they have zero knowledge about the calligraphy tools or like the different script, right?
Totally.
So they just grab whatever they think they know and present it to the client, and the client just say yes to it. I'm like, just because that worked out for you doesn't mean that I'm gonna do that. So yeah, which is kind of annoying. And yeah, which is actually like the next issue, the lack of skill,
it's
knowledge, understanding.
So it's just like, first of all, stealing an artist's image to market, already bad. And then marketing a service that you don't quite understand. It's like a whole other bad. And then taking that misunderstanding and applying it to other artists. Like, this is what you're gonna do now. It's like, But yeah, so then that creates that like weird communication barrier already, where it's like, this is what we need you to do, and then you're like, I don't do that. Why would you ask me to do that? Why didn't you just ask me what I can do for this? And then, right, like the representation is just wrong on all sides.
It just it's really hard to execute a vision when you don't even know the right tools or the knowledge of how to execute those. And like for example, if an agent say like, oh yeah, you're gonna be using this tool, well, I have a better tool that works well, so why am I using, like, is that what you presented to the client? Like, that doesn't work for me, like, and it just, like, those things could have been avoided if we didn't have a very uneducated agent. This is why I feel like a direct relationship is always better. But yeah, that is a red flag to me.
And there's one like one sort of like nuanced scenario I can see is like back to the point we were saying about an agency being asked to arrange like 30 different locations or something like that for one event, and they kind of want to control at least some variables where everything is standardized. Obviously, everyone's calligraphy or everyone's hand looks a little bit different, okay? But if from the client's and the agent's perspective, it's like, okay, if we control the marker that's used, then at least like one thing is standard. And then they say like, Okay, so it's got to be black. It's got to be this brand marker, and it's got to look like this font. And then in their minds, they've worked out like, okay, well then everyone's output will be at least similar, right? So then when I like think of that, it's like, okay, I see what you were trying to do. I really do. And I sympathize. I see like what the purpose of that was.
Mhm.
But it's just like unrealistic, I guess, to say like this is what you're gonna do and this is what you're gonna produce. Like we aren't producing the same things and we aren't skilled in the same things. And when you can't tell like the difference between somebody's writing style between this script and that script, or like clearly what they're skilled in and what not they're not skilled in, and then asking them to do this thing that they can't do, it's like why?
You know, I've definitely seen things that are like even worse than just a tool. Like I've definitely seen agents um asking a calligrapher to draw people, or the other way around, an illustrator to do engraving.
That's such a
That's
stretch to
no,
be
but
like,
it
well, like
happens.
you're an artist, so just do it.
Yeah, it really happens. Just because me and Isabel can do it, it doesn't. Okay, like it really has gone that far, and I'm just like, you don't even look at the portfolio. Like you clearly
Mhm.
don't care. You're just looking at the dollar amount, getting someone sit on that chair and just like
Yeah.
perform. And
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've worked with you before and you're happy to take, $100 an hour. Okay, so can you do this too? Can you do that
yeah,
too? Can you do that too? Can you also dance? Can you also make food? Can you like it's like you're just like throwing it out there. Like, do you also do this? Do you also do that? Like, can you also do this? Instead of actually hiring people for their portfolios.
exactly. It's just like, are you the your experience does not mean that you can do a different job. Like it's just mind boggling to me that it actually has gone that far. Like,
Wow.
and sometimes, like, I've definitely had some people asking me, oh yeah, I've been asked to, like, sketch people, and I'm like, do you even know how to draw? Like, and then they would be asking me, so what tools are you using? I'm like, girl, like the tool is not what you should be worrying about. Like, you should say no to that. Um, and it's just like, because like they feel like they're being enabled by the agent, like, oh, if they trust me to do this, then I must be able to do it. So it's just becoming like a very unproductive cycle of, it's a waste of money for the client.
Yeah. And there is that like false sense of um so word I'm looking for false sense of like security
Mhm.
with the agency. It's like, oh well, like I don't want to like say no to a job because then like what if they don't like offer me a job again? So I'm gonna go out of my comfort zone and just like say yes to this thing that like I'm not really confident with. I don't really know how to do, but I can like maybe just figure it out and then keep this relationship with the agency so they'll come back. Um, which is like I hate that like feeling.
I
I
hate that.
hate that is being created
Mhm.
and then you feel because the agency owes you nothing, right? Like they're just like, oh, like there's this too, like can you do this too? And then the artist side is going through all this like, should I not? Oh, I should try and like all these thoughts, and you agree to this, and they have zero obligation to come back to you. And they will absolutely cut you off the next time
Mhm.
they find somebody else who might even take a lower rate than you. Like, well, it just sucks. Like you said, it's like a negative cycle.
It is. And not only that, it's like, it's a disappointment for the artist industry when we're seeing an agent reaching out to an artist that's not skilled in what
Mhm.
a brand asks for, but also when that actually moves forward from this delulu ideas, and then the brand gets disappointed, and then they feel like, well, we're not going to do this anymore, and then they're just going to ruin the industry, like, like, okay, you know what, we had a bad experience, we can't trust people, they don't perform as what we had the envision of, we're not going to do this anymore, we're not going to take a risk, it's such a high risk. And like, imagine this, like an agent reaching out to an illustrator to do engraving on like expensive products, and then those expensive products gets like engraved by someone who's not um experienced even in calligraphy, and then like obviously the people who purchase those products are going to be unhappy, and then and then the staff that are selling these products going to feel like, oh my god, I'm losing commissions, and I'm getting like, complaint, I didn't even check the artist's work yet, so like there's like this trust issue, and then like, you're losing so much money, and you just become a liability, and then that becomes, if that's like their first experience of having a live event engraving, that's it. They're not going to do it again. um
Mhm.
so it's a bad cycle.
It is a bad cycle. And then this kind of experience starts showing up through like contract changes
Hmm.
when we see things like, no substitutions, or like I think we mentioned that last time, right?
Hmm.
Um or
Yeah.
like I just like clients get fearful
Yeah.
from like a bad experience, or like um stupid things get shared on socials when they weren't supposed to. And then they're like, okay, well, now nobody can share on socials,
Now you
right?
have to sign an NDA.
Yeah. So like all this like bad experiences comes back to the industry with more limitations and more
Yeah.
restrictions because like we weren't behaving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's like that's one big issue with unethical practices that we've seen in an agent. The next one would be white labeling. So when an artist have to operate under the agency's business name. So I am representing an agency. Whereas technically, in the world of agents, they're supposed to represent us as an artist. Why are we representing an agency? That makes
Mhm.
zero sense to me.
Mhm. It's kind of like um they're acting not as an agency, they're acting like an employer.
Mm,
But then they're like not actually an employer because they have no obligation to us whatsoever. So it's
mm,
like they want to have the benefits of being an employer and we are their staff. But then they also want the benefits of just being like a completely free to do whatever they want agent.
mhm.
um, which is really terrible. So yeah, like for things like when you show up to a job, you have to say that you're representing the agency. You can't have your business name, business cards. Like
Mhm.
it's even better if you just block your whole face. Like
You can only see
don't
my
have
hands.
don't have a yeah, don't have a name, don't have a face. Try not to speak. Just kidding. But yeah, that's what it is. You like prohibiting artists from having an identity.
Yeah, and I hate that so much. Like, I want all artists to have their own spotlight, and then and I don't feel like this is very unethical to me. And yeah, it's a no.
Is a no. And it just, I feel very strongly about this.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say it a second time. If you want somebody to represent your business, you are their employer. You pay them a salary, you give them benefits like massages and and
Uh-huh.
healthcare.
Mhm.
It's not appropriate.
No,
Um,
yeah.
eh, it-
You're a
and it,
freelancing artist. You're not an employee.
yeah, we're freelancers, and all we have to our name is, in fact, our name and our face, our skill. Like, and if we're gonna like restrict like all those things, then like, what's the point, right? Um, you might as well take down your website. You might as well take down your social media. Don't even bother, like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, it just, I don't, it's not right.
It's not right at all. And I just yeah, it's just I like I don't sometimes it can go that far. We've definitely seen it, and I think you as an artist could say no, I don't agree to it. I will not be
That's
doing
right.
that. Don't
Yeah, that's
sign
right.
don't sign it.
Have, give yourself the power.
Yeah, no,
Just,
seriously, because it's a business relationship. You both have the power. You can say no to things that you don't want to do. I personally have had a brand client ask me to sign a contract for like a whole year event, and I disagree with some of the clauses, and I said I'm not signing it, and they're like, okay, we can still
mhm,
we're still gonna hire you, but you don't have
mhm,
to agree to this, and that's
mhm.
okay because we both have the power. I have the power to say no. If like no, they shouldn't be forcing you.
Yeah. And there's, honestly, it's like there is no force. I think as a freelancer, we give ourselves a lot of pressure, and a lot of that is imagined. Like,
Mhm.
we give ourselves a lot of pressure, like, oh, but like, they're a big company. Like, if they ask me to do this, then I have to do it. Otherwise, they'll never work with me again. And I understand that. Like, there is like that feeling of insecurity where you're like, oh my God, but like, what if I lose this forever? And what if? Um, but it's at some point, and I hope this gives you the courage to just, at some point, you're going to say, okay, today I'm going to be confident enough to like mark my boundaries and be like, oh, well, like this particular thing doesn't work for me. I really hope that we can still work together.
Yeah.
Uh, right? Like, I know it's really hard to do that. I do. Um, but it's possible, and you just have to be brave enough to stand up for
Yeah.
yourself. And the thing is too, sometimes like with agencies, like, um as much as we imagine like all this power that they have, right? We imagine like, oh, well, they like have like 500 artists they work with, like, who am I to them? Like, well, they're coming to you. They actually might need you a lot more than you think.
Mhm.
So you might have a bit more bargaining power to be like, oh, like, hey, I've looked over your contract and I think everything looks fine, but I would like to change this one thing or
Mhm.
whatever. Like, just open the conversation and see what happens. And maybe it's like, okay, that's fine. Um, or if they're desperate enough, they will just ask you to do the job without hamstringing you for any of those things, right? Like, because
Mhm.
they need you to be there. What if you're in a city where there's not a lot of people who do this?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, stand up for yourself. You don't have to
stand
sign
up.
that.
Yeah, stand up for yourself.
Mhm.
And we will talk a little, expand on this a little bit more when it comes to like a different type of agency situation.
Mm.
um, where you're representing someone else. Um, but yeah, it's just overall, it's like a uncomfy no matter how we try to rationalize it from a business perspective.
Mhm. We talk about like not displaying business name or cards, right?
Mhm.
Sorry. Yeah, the non-soliciting clause. Sometimes I wonder, like, when these agencies are like hiring nationwide artists for different places, and then they have this clause where you're not allowed to display your business cards and names.
Mhm.
How are they gonna know?
They don't.
They're in a different city. They're not gonna fly at the same time. They're not gonna know.
How are they gonna know?
How are they gonna know?
Hmm?
Right?
Hmm?
I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, so yeah. Next issue, a power play. So
Mhm. Sorry. Sorry, I was
fine.
just agreeing. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
What do you
Okay,
mean
I'll
by
say
that?
it.
Mm.
But yeah, so the talent agency, the example of like kind of insisting demonstrates their power by telling you through a contract or an email or whatever, um, by telling you that, by the way, I am your client. Me, the agency, I am your client. The brand is not your client. So you can't do things like refer to the brand as your client. You can't put that on your website. You can't talk to them as if they are your client. You're here representing me, the agency. So, in all shapes and forms, trying to instill in you that there is a divide between you and the end client. It's me. I'm the middleman. I am
Mhm.
your client. So
I
that
am
it's
your
like,
master. Like
Mhm.
it's like there's a hierarchy that they created and they make you feel so small,
Mhm.
even though they need you. But I'm your boss. So you're representing me.
I pay you, so I don't have to respect you.
Where the money comes from is where the power comes from.
Yeah. And I, again, like these are the points. One thing that frustrates me a little bit when we're talking about stuff like this is I can already hear like the background noise of like there are people who will say like, okay, but wait a minute, like I'm gonna be devil's advocate, like, but they are your client because they're paying you, so they are your client. Listen, I understand how a transaction is made. Obviously, the agency is paying you the money, and so in this transaction, they are your client. I understand that, but what I'm saying, what we are trying to say here is like the person who's or like the business that's benefiting from this service, the end user and end client is the brand. It is the brand's customers. Like those are the people benefiting from your service. So it doesn't matter how many layers of cake there is between you and them. It's just it's kind of like as simple as that. We're doing this thing and it's for the benefit of the brand and their customers who are enjoying our service. So in my mind, they are my client. Their
Yeah.
experience is what counts, not whoever paid the bill in between, you know?
They're just a transaction. Just the bank, the broker. But yeah, so when they specifically state that we as the agent is your client, that just like that's disrespect, man. And we have seen it. We have seen an agent specifically said that over and over to different artists. So like a lot of artists. So like yeah, that's very unethical behavior that you could speak back on. Like you could fight back. You could say something back. You know, you don't have to agree with what they said, right? Hmm. I think as an artist, if we do want to work with them, this can work better if we say something to them. Like we don't just agree on everything they imposed us.
Yeah, there's a chance for you to have a conversation or just simply say no,
No.
no, like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, it feels so simple to say that, and we're like so nonchalant about it, but it is true. Like sometimes you just need to like cut this out of your life. It's just like if there's like too many things that don't make sense to you, or too many things that you feel are unethical, too many factors that you're like just like not really uncomfortable, like if it's giving you all those feelings, like just say no.
Yeah. Remember, they're not your boss.
Just delete it. You know, you don't need them.
No, yeah.
More clients will come. If you say no to this opportunity, chances are you'll be fine.
Yeah. So the next thing is miscommunications. We kind of touch upon it, where the agent usually does not have the knowledge about the artistry, and that could create some miscommunication. But not only that, sometimes there's miscommunication in terms of like logistics. Even like, does the client even know that we're coming?
Yeah.
Is there gonna be a table and chair ready by the time I get there? Like, raise your hand if that has happened to you.
Yes. That has happened numerous times, and almost always through an agency. It's rough, like logistically, and it's like, okay, by the way, even if this is like an ethical, above board agency, we love this agency, they're ethical, they're good, they're paying us our rate, all that stuff. And this can still happen. Like, this is the point. When you insert a third person in the middle and they're handling the flow of information, it's just one more chance for something to get missed or get typoed or get, I don't know, fudged up along the way. Yeah, like, do they even know we're coming? Did you set up for me? Am I wearing the right thing?
Yeah, and sometimes the agent just doesn't care. They're like, "Well, we've done our part. We got you."
Yeah, you're supposed to show up and like figure it out yourself.
Yeah, and then like, well, then this is why we don't know what your value is if you're not even voicing up the concern coming from the artist consistently, that like every time we come here, we show up, no one knows what we're coming. So that means you as an agent have never communicated the bad experience that all collectively artists have been feeling, that, you know, if you have an event, at least can you make sure that tell them that the client is also ready and know that you're coming, who's the person of contact, and all that stuff, you know, because like like what's the point then of having you if it's always going to be consistently chaotic to start.
And then we have no way of figuring that out because we don't have the contact.
Yeah, we don't have proactively contact them because they're gatekeeping the contact, right? So like, how are we
so you couldn't even be like, you know, one business day before the event be like, oh, you know, the agency didn't give me this information, so I'm gonna go find out. And you can't find out. There's no way to find out.
And now you have to be friends with the staff, and then like, oh, now I got hired, so I gotta make sure. I mean, it's still like, it just like, you shouldn't have to do that. An agent, like, you're supposed to, like, you know, worry about those logistics too. And it's just a waste of time. You get there and then nothing is ready, and then okay, now you're losing an hour.
Do you remember the story I told on like those on-site unfiltered stories or whatever when I showed up with like the wrong thing. I wore a dress and they were like, where are your pants?
Yeah.
They're like, we only have a shirt for you. Why aren't you wearing pants? And I was like,
Was that through agency? I can remember.
that was through an agency. Yeah.
They didn't
So, and then
communicate.
of course, like, yeah, there's no communication on it. They said, oh, they'll give you a full outfit. So then I'm like, okay, it doesn't really matter what I show up in then. And then they're like, no, we have a shirt.
Yeah,
And it's
define
not
full
your
outfit.
size. Yeah.
2-piece, 1-piece, 3-piece. What is that?
You need to bring bottoms. Yeah, it's just stupid shit like that. And like I didn't know who the manager was. I didn't know anything about anything. Like where I was supposed to be. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be upstairs, not downstairs. Like stuff like that, right? Logistical nightmare.
And like this is what happened to me the one time I worked with an agent. So like it suddenly got busy. And like, what am I gonna do? Like, they keep coming in, and then like it's gonna be an overtime. But then like, I have to wait. I have to contact the agent first. Like, there's gonna be possibly overtime. Is it gonna be approved? And then the agent have to come up with contact the client, who's probably obviously not working because it's on a weekend. So like, we need approval now for that. It's just, whether if it's like direct, I can just ask, them. I'm like, okay, should we do overtime or not? It's like, yeah, there's always someone on the floor, like approve it or not. But then when you have an agent who's not even in the same country as you are, it's like what, they're having lunch right now, like they're not gonna look at it. They're not gonna check my messages. So it's just I hate it. It's a broken telephone.
Exactly. Because even if you do manage to get a hold of the agent, and then what? We're gonna trust that like this information is relayed properly, and then it's gonna come back to us properly. It's just like,
yeah. By the time it's gonna be an hour and a half overtime, I'm just waiting to be for the approval.
Oh, and another miscommunication thing is like, there's confusion with the floor staff, like the local staff, who we're all supposed to be reporting to, So it's like, let's say, like with my experience, it's like even to do with like my tools and my display and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, we better check with this person. And I'm like, well, I gotta check with the agency. And then they're like, well, we gotta check with HQ. And then they're like, but then my agency is talking to corporate, who is talking to you. And it's like, come on. Like,
there's too many middlemen. Like, just make the goddamn decision.
It's so confusing. They're like, oh, well, like, who are you checking with? And I'm like, who are you checking with? And it's just so awkward.
So awkward. It's unnecessary. What's next? Oh, this is a big one too. Promotional photo usage. So when they require the artist to sign an agreement where they can where the agency is allowed to use their photos, like say like a picture of your work, for the agency's promotional benefit, and then basically owning that photo as their property.
This goes back to like,
oh no,
it's like, oh, everything you produce on site belongs to me now. That's the vibe. Everything you make, everything you draw, everything you write, and then photos of everything you do, that all belongs to the agency. You lose all rights to use it. You can't put it on the website. And then when the event is done, you send it all to me and it's mine. Like that's the language that they kind of stipulate and
in the contract
instill in you to reinforce who's in power.
And like, your work is your work. It's your master's. I'm just like speaking like Taylor Swift. That's your master's, right? You own it. No one else should own it. And like,
Yeah.
I have a hard time having, like, like, I understand when Taylor Swift was talking about, like, it's my diary, it's my feelings and everything, and then, like, it's like someone else is making money out of that. That's so weird. And like us as an artist, a live event artist, is like, like, this is our art. We work so hard to get to this point, to get the skill, like, to like refine our skills every day, and then we take a picture, and then that picture is owned by the agency, that because, like, that's like, that's not even part of the job anymore. That should be like, that we should be able to charge that additional of that. Right?
Actually,
Because
you
that,
make a good point about that.
mhm.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, you're allowed to license this image from me for
Yeah,
promotional purposes. Like,
yeah, exactly.
you may
Yeah,
pay me
yeah,
$1,000 per
yeah. Oh,
event
you want
to
these
use these.
pictures?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Better pay me money.
Actually, no, you're right. That is the frame of mind that like we can try to think in, is that like, this is your artwork, you made the thing, it's coming out of your hands. Where you're doing it, it it's contextual, right, to the job. Like, that day you're there and you're doing all these things, but it's still your artwork. They placed you there, but you have equal right to be there because they hired you.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a frustrating topic, and people will discuss again like the legality of that and like the transactional whatever. But it's like, we want to level with you about what feels right,
Mhm.
like what feels reasonable, and this doesn't feel reasonable, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You own it,
Mhm.
so it's yours. They want it, they better pay. Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, sorry, like I didn't take any photos.
Yeah. And then
Sorry.
they like force you to tag them, and then they would tag, and then they force you to tag them, and then like, please tag us, and then when they share it, or like they just like
They don't
screenshot,
tag you.
they don't
Yeah,
tag you,
yeah,
they like
yeah.
remove your username. That's just nasty work, man. Again, you're being white labeled. Which is
Yeah.
to the next point, lack of social media credit. Many, 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 many times I've seen like these agents, um, they don't tag the artist. They just sometimes they just mention their name. Oh, our artist Eva or whatever. And then like, so does Eva has an Instagram? I'm pretty sure she does. And and then they don't want to mention it because they don't want potential brands and clients click on the tag artist and hire them directly. That's the
Mm.
reason, right?
And the reason is that they are threatened. Like, they see you as competition.
Mhm,
That's the whole entire bottom line, is they
mhm.
see you as a competition, because instead of them getting hired to hire you, you could be hired. So it's a direct, like, you know, um if you win the job directly, they lose that job. So
Yeah.
to them, it's like, it's a threat if you are able to secure the client. So they try their very best to hide you from them
Mhm,
and hide them from you,
mhm,
and throw a big scary contract at you, hoping that you'll just agree to all of the terms, and
mhm,
then be too scared to question any of it.
mhm.
Um,
And yeah, that's just a red flag, man. And you can say no to that. You can
mhm.
just not share your photos. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
You can have a picture of me on the
Yeah,
job, but no
that's
picture of my
correct.
work, because
Mhm.
they're gonna use that work of yours to promote to other clients. Oh yeah, we've had this before. Beautiful calligraphy, beautiful illustration. So if you want to work with us, you're gonna get this, and then they're gonna hire someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I've worked with many different agencies, some of which have not done any of these things, some of which have not asked me to sign a contract, asked me anything about limitation of social media, photos, like none of this stuff. And I do want to mention that I no longer get leads from them either. So it's like,
You're
on
the
the
competition now.
yeah, so it is, right? Like on the big picture, it's like, yes, agencies can be a source of jobs until such a time they feel it's no longer beneficial for them to work with you. So I just want to like throw that out there as like a bit of a warning, and like, do these things as you will. There, it's within your control. I want you to say yes confidently or say no confidently, and feel conviction in your decision. But also know that like there is zero guarantee. So definitely like don't fool yourself into thinking like, oh, if I say yes, and if I say yes, she'll continue working with me. They'll continue wanting to hire me or stuff like that. Like don't give yourself any information that hasn't actually been explicitly proven to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, wow. Yeah. So next, well, this is also kind of related to the lowballing, is because ideally we want the agent, supposedly an agent should be able to negotiate rates, right? That's what they're supposed to do for us, but they're doing it for themselves. So they prioritize negotiating fees with the artist versus the client. So be like, oh no, we're only gonna pay $100 an hour. So whereas they could go to the client, like where this is too low, like we need to have this project. They see it as a project, right? And that would include the compensation of the artist, and then they also have to pay them. So it would have to make sense, like where they should be able to negotiate high rates with the client, so then the artist can get paid what they want to be paid.
Yeah. It's simple. It's
Yeah.
actually super simple. I think that, if I were if I were an agency, it's possible for you to say the words, you're a luxury brand. This is the image I understand this is the image we want to portray, and we want high quality artists doing high quality artwork. And I think this is how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. But they don't want to do that.
But I don't want to do that.
They're too scared to do that.
Because they're also scared to lose the job. They're also scared to lose the client. So they're going to be like, okay, no, I can arrange 50 artists for $10,000 or whatever it is. And then they take that number and then they decide like, oh, well, I want to get like 5,000 of that. So what's left over? And then they take that number and then offer it to artists and then divvy that out. And that that's how I see their process working, instead of from the ground up, like, let me feel out like what the artist's rates are. Okay, it feels like they're working in this range, and then I'm gonna like go up the stream and say like, okay, well, artists in this area and in this, this is how much it costs, and I think that this is a proper budget for whatever.
Yeah. And the thing is that for PR agency, marketing media agency, they're doing this correctly. Like they would come up to us, what's your rate? Okay, we're gonna go to our client and then we're gonna negotiate with them. Whereas the talent agency, they're like unethical anyway. They don't do that. They want to like pocket money as much as they can. So, and then they would basically just underpay the artists, and then they make promises. They're like, okay, if you take $100 per hour right now, I promise you're gonna get more jobs in the future. But they don't even have anything yet. So
He-
it's a
I
false
have
promise.
I have like a suspicion about how this works. It's just a pure guess, by the way, just
Okay.
speculation. Okay. I have no proof of this, but my speculation is that with PRs, because they're also earning a fee, right? They're
Yeah.
saying like, okay, our event production starts at $10,000. This is
Mhm.
our fee. And then they're like, okay, in order to hire this and this and this and this and this to create this event, these are the vendors that are needed. I'm going to need another like 20K for that. And then the client says, okay, sounds great. Here's all this money. Go ahead and pay the vendors. And then the PR has more autonomy, more negotiating power, and all this like money in their hands to spend, right?
Mhm.
And so they have more, like less of a competing interest in what you're getting paid because they are earning their fee. They've already told the client, this again, my speculation. They've already told the client, this is my fee. This is what you're paying me. And then this chunk, you're paying the vendors. And then this is what it's going to come to.
Mhm.
And then they bill the client for that or whatever it is. But with a talent agency, I have a feeling that it's not presented like that. They're not saying
Yeah.
like, this is how much the artist is getting paid. And this is my chunk. They're not saying that. They're saying, I will organize this event for you. And there is an artist in this city. And that's going to cost $2,000. That's the total. And then they're like, how much of this can I reasonably take from this and then still get somebody to do the job? And then they're making that decision sort of down the line. And that's why they're coming to artists, 3 days before an event saying like, hey, are you available? We're offering this amount of money. Right. And they can blanket email or text this to like 50 different people to see whoever takes it. And then whoever takes it does the job because they agree to it. That's my speculation of how this process works is that they like talent agencies are not transparent to the client about what they are earning compared to the artist, that it's just like, this is the magical chunk of money. And instead of saying like, oh, I will be earning 20% and the artist is getting paid this much and this is the total bill, they don't break it down. Nor do I think actually the client is interested. However, it's just that negotiation happens, like you said, only with the artist. So it's just like, I'm just going to decide how much I'm going to take from this.
Yeah. You know what I think? The way, if that's true, the way that PR agency, marketing agency work with clients and with artists is the same way that wedding planners, event planners are working. This is my fee to hire me.
Yeah.
To plan things out.
Yeah.
And then we can work together. And then these are like the vendor lists. And then if they're like, oh, we have this vendor, if you want to have an illustrator, okay, I can reach out to them.
Yeah.
This is how much it will be. And that's why we usually, as an artist, we talk to the event planners, but then at the end of the day, the person that's actually signing our contract and paying us is the couple.
Yeah. Because they're our client. They are our client. Well, that's hard to say.
Not the event planner. Yeah.
Not the event planner. They might be managing the communications in between, but our end client is the person receiving and benefiting from the service. So yeah, exactly. Like there's a fee for their job, and they are very clear about that to the client. I cost $5,000. Your vendor is going to cost $2,000. Now you got to pay that. So it's like they are not competing with you to be like, ooh, like, do I get any part of that fee? It's not even part of the equation.
Yeah, it's not in their business model, and I feel like agencies should have done that way. This is how much to charge, and then this is my fee as a consultant, as a talent agency, and this is what Yeah, but it is what it is. um okay, we're gonna talk about the last one, which we've actually heard many times before when we launched the subcontract episode. Non-compete agreement, where if I hire you as an artist, you are not allowed to work for the same brand for 2 years after you work with me.
No.
So like, and then you're like wondering, like, well, how would it work if they want to work with me directly in the future? Well, you have to tell me if they reach out to you, and then I'll be the person managing that. You know how crazy that sounds? It's insane to me. Because they assume that I'm hiring you. So this brand, ABC brand, is my client. The project is right now for this weekend, but in the future, they're always going to be my client.
Yeah.
Says who?
Yeah.
The contract is just for that day. It doesn't mean that they're yours for the next 2 years. Did you make the client sign the contract for 2 years
Hmm.
that they can't
This
hire other artists?
this is my point. I'm like, if you have the power as an agency, if you had the power to negotiate that and make the client say, yes, I will hire only artists through you, magical agency. Um, I will never hire an artist outside of talking to you. If you have the power to do that, like, great.
And I know there are some agencies who have a chokehold on like huge department store.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what's funny though? Like that department store, I actually work directly with a brand that happens to have a counter in that department store. So I was directly hired by the brand, and I was working in that department store without the knowledge of that agency.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got in trouble? Absolutely not.
No.
Because they're not gonna be happy if they're like, why? Why the hell do I have to go through like a freaking agency when I have a direct relationship with the artist already for like years? And now I gotta talk to this person, random person,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then I have to worry about how the payment works. Whereas he's also in Canada, like this person is in like America, this agent, like it just makes zero sense, like zero value. So like, yeah, it still works. And I do know this client of mine, the brand client, like he's always very like, this has to happen. He has actually fought for events to happen for this brand. So like I appreciate that. It's very rare. But yeah, like if you have that power, sure. But like I think I think it's ridiculous to actually impose that to the artist. You can have that agreement with the brand, but don't impose that on the artist. And if you are the artist, you can say no. Again, you can say no to these ridiculous agreement.
Mm-hmm. And they're banking again on you reading this, thinking like, oh, if I agree to this, I actually have to follow this.
Mhm. Like, what are you gonna do? Call a lawyer on us? You're gonna
That's
sue
what
us?
that's what I mean. It's, and I'm not saying like, you should deliberately break a contract because you want to call their bluff. I'm just
Mhm.
saying that this thing is put in there intentionally to create fear. It's
Exactly. To create
it's
power imbalance.
yeah, to tell you like, just so you know, this is how I feel about this. And when you read it, I want you to feel scared.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. I want you to feel like the next time, after you work this job and the manager says like, hey, can I get your email address or your phone number so that I'm gonna text you next time? And then you just like little red flag goes off in your brain and you're like, oh my God, but I signed a thing that says I wouldn't do that. And then in that moment you're making that decision. They're hoping and banking on you to be scared to not do that. And isn't that a terrible feeling to have?
Yeah.
Why are we agreeing to this?
Uh-huh. Read your contract, people. and you don't have to agree with everything.
And this happens.
It
It
happens. I've
happens.
heard so many
Client
things before.
clients do want to turn around and say like, well, I'm just gonna email you.
We're just gonna forget. Like literally, I've had like one of the clients is like, yeah, we used to work with agents, but I just feel like it's such a waste of time. It's just easier to work directly with the artist, and then it just there's it's just faster, and you get all the monies that you want to be paid for. Whereas with agent, it just I don't know. There's a lot of disconnect, and
Yeah.
yeah, they don't like
Yeah.
that. It's not
Hmm.
a great client experience for their end either to have too many people um involved.
Yeah. And it is an issue of value add. If they don't feel like the next time like a youth brought anything to the equation, then like why bother involving
Mhm.
you? Um, like I was hired through an agency once to do an event, and then the events manager who hired the agent, she was there at the event. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so happy to meet you in person. Da, 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 da. I know that like, this person arranged you to be here, but like she straight up told me to my face when I met her in person. It was like, "Oh, I'm going to email you about this other thing." Um and it's as simple as that. As soon as the client feels like there's no reason to involve a third party, they just won't. And it's not going to be because like, oh, agencies are stupid, or like, oh, she didn't do anything for it. It might not even be like a negative thing. It might just be like, well, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, it's easier.
It just she's right here. She lives in my city.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna email her. Like it's just right there.
Yeah, like I have a contact now, so why are we holding up?
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
Oh. What are you gonna
You've
do?
done your job. You found her
Like
for us.
exactly. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sue the client? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like the tea about agency. We also have a lot more that we want to discuss. But we're gonna talk about on the next episode. So thank you if you have been listening this whole time. If you have any experience or if you want to share anything with us, our DM is always opened. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to follow us on Event Ready Podcast. Let your friends know if you know someone who's looking into entering the live event industry, whether it is with a brand client or corporate or weddings. We've had a lot of episodes that we've talked about before, covering a lot of different topics. So yes, follow us on Instagram on Event Ready Pod. Isabel, where can people find you?
they can find me on Instagram at Isabel Disman and on my website. That's isabeldisman.com. And what about you?
And you can find me on Instagram, Roseanne Art, which is written somewhere in this um screen, on Instagram and my website. So I'm very active on my Instagram. So yeah, so please feel free to reach out to us, share your experience. Obviously, we always keep everything anonymous. We don't even mention brand names or whatnot. So because we want to respect everybody. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode. More about
To be
agency.
continued.
Yeah, bye.